With profound humble gratitude and love to all venerated enlightened masters, we bow to the Almighty in soulful gratefulness for gifting us with their holy blessed presence. May all beings be awakened by their divine grace.
Part 2 of 4.
Etc.
Be vegan, make peace, do good deeds, heaven Godspeed.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Наши программы предлагают много языков. Пожалуйста, посмотрите suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Animals don't want to give their meat. Because when we cut their bodies, they are screaming and crying for their lives.
Please stay with us to enjoy this illuminating congress.
You vegan? Bravo, man!
Today's program will be presented in English with subtitles in Arabic. Aulas is also known as Vietnamese, Chinese, English, French, German, Hindi, Hungarian, Indonesian, Korean, Mongolian, Persian, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, Thai, and Ukrainian or Uranian. Hello, gentle viewers. Helloa is hello in Belizean Creole, one of the languages spoken in Belize. I am Barbara. The fun-loving Belizeans enjoy delicious vegan food and invite you to join this benevolent and healthy lifestyle, if you haven't already done so. Belize is a warm and welcoming country located on the northeastern coast of Central America, bordering Mexico to the north and Guatemala to the south and west. With English as the official language, Belizean society is highly multicultural with many languages spoken, including Belizean Creole, Spanish, and Mayan languages. In ancient times, Belize was the heartland of the Maya Empire. To this day, a significantly large number of Maya ruins have been found here, with some dating back as far as 2600 BC. Belize is renowned for its unique ecosystems, with pristine jungle covering 50% of the land, most of which is under government protection. This dense forest region is home to a diverse range of wild animal people, including jaguars, armadillos, tapirs, as well as hundreds of species of bird people. In addition, the Belize Barrier Reef is the second largest coral reef in the world. This UNESCO World Heritage Site was described by Charles Darwin as the most remarkable reef in the West Indies. Nowadays, it is considered an important habitat for the survival of threatened animal people species, including sea turtles and manatees. In 2010, Belize was one of the first countries in the world to institute a complete and permanent ban on all forms of trawling in the country's waters. Thanks to the ban, our marine animal friends are enjoying more peace, which they so rightfully deserve. In December 2010, the first ever Middle East Vegetarian Congress was held at the Dubai International Exhibition Center, with the public invited to engage in an interactive exploration of the plant-based lifestyle. Organized by the Middle East Veg Group or MEVEG, supported by the Middle East Natural and Organic Product Expo 2010, and endorsed by the Dubai Health Authority of the United Arab Emirates. The event provided 2 days of seminars, workshops, and video telecasts with experts from around the world, along with rejuvenating veg cuisine. In addition, Supreme Master Shinhai Vegan was especially invited to speak via live video link on Being a Vegan, an environmentally sustainable food choice, followed by a question and answer session with attendees, and the launch of the Arabic edition of the international best-selling book The Birds in My Life, which was already sold out pre-launch. The Birds in My Life was printed by United Printing and Publishing, a subsidiary of Abu Dhabi Media Company, or ADMC, owned by the government of Abu Dhabi. We now invite you to join us for part 5 of the conference titled The First Middle East Vegetarian or MEVEG Congress, held in the city of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates on December 6, 2010, where Lo Yuan Frutarian, Senior Executive of Education and Outreach of Vegetarian Society Singapore, explains the importance and the natural balance of eating plant-based foods compared to the harms caused from eating animal people flesh.
Warning: sensitive images.
Now I'd like to request Lo Yuan to come to the stage, and he has a very colorful presentation to share with us, and he's going to tell us how we can make a lot of smoothies, and he will be running the workshops for all these smoothies as well, so please do take time in between to go and visit the workshops as well. A little background about Yao. He made a U-turn in life when he decided to pursue a humanitarian role rather than a career in architecture. I was discussing with him from an architect to going into vegetarian and all, that is his passion. He graduated from National University of Singapore in architectural studies. This heavy meat eater has been a vegetarian since 1987. That is 23 years, wow. He now thrives on a largely raw fruitarian diet. Underlying this was his awed respect for the Earth's unique design and all the strange and wonderful life forms and that proliferate here. He is happy to spend his life protecting and speaking for this intricate beauty that is our planet. And currently, Yao is the Executive Director of Education and Outreach of Vegetarian Society in Singapore. Let's welcome Yao here.
Hello. Thank you. I too have a lot to share about nutrition and about health, well-being, food. But from a very different perspective, I'm interested in design. So much of the talk that I'm sharing with you today is the angle of design. Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone, thank MEVEG for putting this event all together. And I think it's a very timely event to have this because the planet is going through a shift. And I think it's important that we as humans understand what is happening and we act collectively to try to address the situation. Of course, I'm also grateful for everyone for coming here. My talk today is, I too have a childhood story to share. So I will go into that later. But this talk that I'm doing now is a short one. And I'm going to focus mainly on number 1 and number 2 about the plant-based diet and the animal-based diet. To compare, to answer that question about whether living on fruits is possible. I asked that question myself many times because I wanted to know what the true natural diet for humans is. As a child, I don't know, that was maybe 10 years old. I've always had a fascination with the earth. I found grass growing, trees growing, the sky, the temperature. I found it strange. I found it strange that the planet proliferates the way it does. And at that time, I thought that everyone felt the same thing, just that nobody talks about it. So I went to school, primary school, secondary school. It was only at university that I realized that things are a lot more complicated. And I realized that the way humans live is not in harmony with the planet's design. And I wanted to do something about it. That's why I couldn't bring myself to continue that trend, join the corporate world, design buildings. I wanted to do something to make a difference to this planet. I realized that all our life is connected. I think you know all this. We're not just talking about the obvious things like gravity, food. I realized that the planet has been infinitely kind to all of us because all the things that we have, all the things you see around you, all the food, the water, the air you breathe, the temperature we have, is beautifully designed by the earth. Everything is perfect. It's exactly what we need. Exactly what we need is given by the earth, without our even asking. And I realized that, as you were saying, the brain is not just in the cell. I think it's in the whole planet. The whole planet is alive. Things are a lot more complicated than we think. I think science understands very little. As the doctor rightly said, it's an energy field. And I think I felt that right from as a child. And I think as children, we all know it too. It's just that, through the upbringing, it gets lost along the way. It's when we lose the connection that things go wrong. It's when we lose the connection with the earth, with the bigger picture, that we find that things go wrong. And I think we are moving towards this very quickly. So it's very important that we reconnect ourselves. Reconnect with among humans and reconnect with the earth. And I call it an intimate connection with the earth because with gravity and with temperature, what can you do? You don't have a choice. But diet is something that we choose. Diet is something that we choose 3 times a day. And whether we choose the right diet or wrong diet is a make or break for all of us. We are in this together. And the diet I'm talking about, the plant-based diet I'm talking about, is about wholesome foods. Foods that are unprocessed, foods that are unaltered, with little or no processing. Because these days it's very difficult to have zero processing because much of food is imported. Now if you look at natural foods, okay, here I'm using the example of a mango. If you observe our instincts, when a mango ripens, it changes its color, it changes its scent. I mean, we see all this all the time, but we forget, we take it for granted. This is exactly the language in nature. This is exactly the language of the intelligence, the higher intelligence, to invite us to take the fruit. Because it's something that the tree wants to give to us. So you see, the language is a beautiful language of love. It's harmony. And when in taking the fruit, we help the tree scatter its seeds. It's a win-win situation. It's such a happy thing for all of us. And if you don't take it, it spoils. And you find that the nutrients that the trees give is exactly what we need. The energy, the fiber, it's all there. In fact, if you see the corner picture here, most of the curries we like, they're actually the flavors of the spices, which are mostly seeds. So you see, our instincts are made for it. The rice and the bread and the noodles are made from grains. Our taste is made for these things. And you find that it's exactly what we need again because it's high fiber, all this stuff you know already. It's the most harmonious with our system. Scott Jurek is an ultra-marathonic. An ultra-marathon is a marathon that's longer than 42 km. Okay, it can be 150 km. Okay, one of the top ultra-marathoners in the world is vegan. Okay, plant-based. And he talks about it. In fact, he said that it helps him recover. It helps him recover very quickly. And ultra-marathon can, I read some of the stories. They can run for 36 hours, you know. One day only has 24 hours, and these guys can run for 36 hours. I don't know how they do it. But this is just to make the point that plant-based diet can provide energy. Just a bit of story. When I became vegetarian, I had a lot of problems. Because I was a heavy meat eater, as mentioned. And when I jumped into this, I felt terrible actually. I didn't have energy, I felt weak, I lost confidence. My energy was just not there. But it was after some weeks that I realized that the body needs conditioning, and my energy level picked up. So of course there are lots of people out there who may have this experience, and they think that something's wrong with the diet. It takes conditioning. It's just like smokers and smoking. If you're a heavy smoker and you quit smoking suddenly, the body feels bad. The body feels terrible. You lose weight. It's the antioxidants that does the magic. Okay? The higher the antioxidant levels, the better. Good for skin, good for your weight, good for your nails, you feel happier. I think it's a plant-based diet that gives us our natural lifespan. We are meant to live long. I was told by some Buddhists that in the Buddhist Sutra, it was mentioned that humans are meant to live 120 years. That's our normal lifespan. But it's just that with the junk that we're eating, we are shortening our lives. We are giving ourselves a lot of problems. So anyway, we are starting to discover the truth of this. Okay, it's perfect for meditation. I think many of you do this. Mental strength, mental clarity. I experienced this myself. When I went onto this plant-based diet, especially on the fruitarian diet, I found that my mental capacity shot up. I was able to have clearer thoughts. I was able to comprehend abstract materials much better. My mind can sustain much longer. This is something very, very true that I experienced. Okay, this is something maybe many have not seen. I call it the structure of abundance, because the more fruits we eat, the more fruits we tend to have. Let's say you like mangoes, you eat mangoes, and you throw the seed, then the seed grows. So you have more mango trees, you have more fruits to eat. Okay, but sadly, most of us treat the peels and the seeds as trash. But what I'm saying here is that the inherent structure of abundance is designed in our food structure. Okay, so back to the question of whether the fruitarian diet is humanly possible. It's not only possible, it's a celebration of life. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. How many of you might be aware that ex-President Clinton is near vegan? Anybody aware of this? Anyway, good. Anyway, he went into this because he had his surgery, his heart surgery, and he realized that the arteries were clogging up again. He had the stent put in and he was starting to clog up, and he wanted to prevent that. So he read up on Professor Colin Campbell and Dr. Esselstyn, and discovered that 82% of people who went on a plant-based diet managed to reverse their heart conditions. So he wanted to do this, partly for his daughter's wedding. This is Health Minister of Singapore, Minister Corbyn. He too had a similar story. Compared to ex-President Clinton, Minister Kaur is completely vegan. Okay, when we heard this, we couldn't believe our ears. And he went into this for a similar reason. He had a bypass surgery, and he also read up on Professor Colin Campbell and Dr. Esselstyn, and went on to this diet to protect himself. Vegetarian Society Singapore has been communicating with him privately, so he tells us some of his reasons, his stories. But publicly, he won't talk about it. Publicly, he won't talk about his vegan diet change. I think we understand because there are so many other interests connected to this. I'm mentioning this because it makes the point very clear. Animals don't want to give their meat. Because when we cut their bodies, they are screaming and crying for their lives. And talking about the harmony of the structure of abundance, when you cut the animal, do you get more animals? It doesn't happen. 10 kgs of grain to produce 1 kg of beef. So I think we all know this is extremely inefficient. Some studies state it as 16, some studies say it as 6:1. So a lot more resources are needed. This is just a video to explain, I think the audio is the one. This is just to explain that a lot of resources are used and contributes to climate change.
Increasing number of animals being intensively farmed globally. In effect, the lungs of the world are being killed to create more saturated fat. Wildlife also suffers as habitats are destroyed. But probably the biggest environmental problem of all is water scarcity.
It also contributes to world hunger because so much of the grains in third world countries are sold in developed countries because they don't have much else to sell. Developed countries buy the grains to lower the price of hamburgers. This has been going on for many, many years. Meat requires intensive refrigeration because otherwise you'll go bad. And also, unless you keep a cow or pig in your house, you're not going to have fresh meat. So there will always be a need for long distance transportation.
All the fat in his bloodstream. We took Mr. Phillips down to the operating room, and I gave him 1,000 micrograms of fentanyl and put him to sleep. And the surgeon opened up his chest and opened up his aorta and opened.
Right. Okay. This you see here is the artery. Okay. What you're seeing now, when you cut open the artery, blood is supposed to spurt in the face, but here it doesn't, because this yellow substance here is the fat. It's the fat that is clogged up, building up in the artery. So when the heart pumps, you're seeing the pulsation of the heartbeat. Can we continue?
Open up his coronary arteries. And what the surgeon started pulling out of Mr. Phillips' arteries were great, long, yellow, greasy, sausage-like formations of fat that looked like this.
You can see it is solid. That's the stuff that kills people. That's the stuff that clogs arteries. And when it clogs the arteries in the heart, it's a heart attack or heart failure. If it clogs arteries, the brain is a stroke. The kidney, your kidney failure. That's the same stuff, the same disease, it's the same problem occurring in different organs, manifesting as different diseases. HCA, this is something similar to what was mentioned. Heterocycloamines, this is a cancer-causing substance that is formed on meats whenever meat is cooked at high temperatures, grilling, frying, baking. We know this has been known for many years, but yet somehow it's conveniently ignored. In Singapore, this is the scenario. 2008. Okay, if you put the three together, it looks like this. This 61% is coming close to 66. 66% will be 2 in 3 persons. Okay, that's the scale of the problem we have in Singapore. You know, Singapore strives to be world #1 in many things, but guess what? We are coming close to this too. We spend a lot of resources creating health problems, and then we spend even more resources solving them. Hospitals require a lot of resources. Yet in that condition, a lot of research has gone into the pharmaceuticals. So what we're trying to say is the meat-based diet is highly destructive as compared to the plant-based diet. And the destruction is something that we really need to look closely at, because we are destroying ourselves. I'm not sure if you've seen this documentary before. Life After People. Anybody seen this? Life After People. For those of you who haven't, this documentary explains what happens to planet Earth when humans perish.
After the 2007 season, I had read so much I decided to become a vegan and get rid of all the animal products, meat and dairy. It really changed my career, and I thought this might be something that helps me take my career to the next level. And it wasn't the main reason, but I like knowing everything I eat was served in a humane way. Pat MEVEG, vegan.
Joyous viewers, we appreciate your presence today for the first Middle East Vegetarian or MEVEG Congress on Words of Wisdom. Please join us tomorrow for part 6 of this inspiring conference. Coming up next is Happiness is Where the Heart Is, a New Year celebration with Supreme Master Shinhai, Vegan, Part 4 of 6. May God bless you and your loved ones with tranquility and fulfillment.
Be vegan, make peace, do good deeds, hell not reach.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW.